Toni Morrison is one of the most important writers of the last 100 years. Now, the celebrated woman of letters will be gracing literal letters as she's being honored with a new forever postage stamp. But who was Toni Morrison? Journalist Nadra Nittle, who wrote the book Toni Morrison's Spiritual Vision, explains.
Her writing, especially The Bluest Eye, which came out in 1970, really broke ground. She wrote during a time when African American women in particular were not heavily represented in the publishing world. And she went on to write books like Song of Solomon and Beloved that won very prestigious awards.
Morrison won the Pulitzer Prize, the American Book Award, and in 1993 was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature.
I think after that point, she was considered one of our greatest living writers.
Morrison managed to write while working as a book editor and raising her two sons. She wrote 11 novels, several plays, poetry, essays, as well as a series of children's books with her son, Slade.
Her writing style would be considered literary fiction. Sometimes also it's been described as magical realism. She didn't necessarily like that descriptor, but there's a lot of magic, people with healing powers, and lots of things that don't necessarily seem like they would happen in the real world.
For readers new to Morrison, Nittle says The Bluest Eye may be the best place to start.
The first Toni Morrison book I read was The Bluest Eye when I was in high school. And that's a book that's often assigned for young readers or, teenage readers trying to access her work. However, we're in a time when many books are being banned throughout our country, and Beloved, The Bluest Eye, and other books that Toni Morrison is known for have been subject to those book bans. And so accessing those works may be hard depending on where you live or the policies of your school district. But I think The Bluest Eye, while it deals with a lot of trauma, which many of her books did, it's written in a very accessible way that I think teenagers can understand. One of the main things that it deals with is there is a little Black girl in the book who faces a lot of hatred because her skin is so dark, and she dreams of having blue eyes, just like the children in the books that she reads have blue eyes. She thinks that maybe if she can magically get blue eyes, people will treat her better and she'll feel better about herself. So ultimately, The Bluest Eye is really a book about self-love.
Toni Morrison died in 2019 at the age of 88. Her legacy seems secure, but having her appear on a stamp is no small thing.
Seeing Toni Morrison on a stamp is one way for little Black girls and other girls of color to see themselves reflected in society, not for what they look like, but for what they can achieve academically. So I think her being on a stamp is really important, and it also shows that our government holds her works in such high regard that they thought that she was deserving of this honor. I think seeing yourself on a stamp is something that she would not have imagined as a little girl growing up in a working class family in Lorain, Ohio. And it just shows what a cultural icon she has become.
This is Inside Edition Digital.